Hey everybody, welcome to College Football Relevancy in 2025. USC with 2 losses, Iowa with 3 losses. In many ways, you could argue that Iowa's played a better football season against better football teams. They have hung with the elite, lost in the final minute to Indiana, lost on a walk-off field goal at home against Oregon. USC more up and down. However, again, 2 losses versus 3 means everything. USC still in the hunt for a college football playoff appearance. Iowa playing for pride at the Coliseum on Saturday. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by as USC stays alive in its quest for a CFP appearance. 26-21 over Iowa. The Hawkeyes got up 14-0, could not hang on. Mark Gronowski and the Hawkeyes drove right down the field the first 2 times they had the football. Gronowski 12 of 19 for $132. A decent quarterback, especially when he tucks the ball and runs. He is a force on the ground, both because he's got moves in the open field, he's got a little bit of speed, and definitely he is a force because he is a big man and he does not shy away from contact. So Mark Gronowski is an Iowa-style quarterback in terms of what they need this season. However, throwing the football, I have scanned the Big Ten quarterbacks, and I got to say that Gronowski is probably the worst thrower of the football of any quarterback in the Big Ten. And when he misses throws, it usually comes early, and it usually matters. So again, on this drive, he delivered a nice ball to Jacob Gill that set up Iowa in prime position. Then on 4th and 1 inside the 5, going for it, Gronowski stayed calm, stayed patient, sprinted to the right when USC got penetration and kind of blew up the play and waited for Dayton Howard to gain leverage on the defender and threw the ball where it needed to be thrown, high and wide, and Howard brought it down for the touchdown, and the Hawkeyes led it at 7-0. USC had issues with the rain, so we got the graphics and the comparison between Iowa City and Los Angeles. Now, that it was sunny in Iowa City and rainy in Los Angeles is a bit of an upset. But that it was 67 degrees in Iowa City and 59 in LA, that is the huge upset of the day. But the game, of course, and we saw the many shots from the field, and then the field grounds crew trying to extract all that water from the field, so it was very sloppy, and it did not let up during the course of the game. It actually got worse in the fourth quarter, so USC, you would think, playing to a bit of a disadvantage, of course, wanting its speed to take over this game and having 2 of the premier players on the outside in the conference in Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. And Jacoby Lane dropped a 3rd down ball, not perfectly thrown by any means by Jade Mayava, but it was behind him, and USC had to punt. Iowa scores another touchdown as they drive it right down the field to make it 14-0. If you checked out USC's win against Nebraska, Jade Mayava was not on his game throwing the football. 9 of 23 as USC posted its lowest passing output yardage-wise since going all the way back to 2018. But Lincoln Riley noticed it and altered his game plan and did much of the same on the 3rd USC drive as he got Mayava on the run. He went for 20 yards on a scramble. He also passed to Jacoby Lane for the touchdown, and we had a 14-7 ball game. But Iowa continued its offensive assault. Mark Gronowski with a beautiful ball to DJ Voname. Kamari Moulton and the Iowa offensive line just mauled its way down the field. Moulton had a big day, 15 carries for 90 yards, and in the first half at least, Iowa's ground game, and again, what could arguably be called the best offensive line in the Big Ten or in college football, certainly enjoyed the conditions and pushed USC all over the place. But despite all that old school Iowa football, they went to the bag of tricks down inside the 5-yard line as Reese Vanderzee threw the Philly special of sorts to Gronowski for the touchdown with just a few minutes left in the first half, and Iowa led it at 21-7. The Hawkeyes rolling on offense. But remember, USC was the team that had a tangible goal in this game, and that's to stay at 2 losses and get to the college football playoff, and they drove it like they were determined and focused in the second half. Iowa did hold up in the red zone after USC drove it easily down the field. So we had a 21-13 game as the Trojans got 2 field goals, one at the end of the first half, one going into the third quarter. And Mekhi Lemon, again, oh my goodness. I was impressed with the play that Zach Lutmer made in the open field as Lemon was given a toss sweep and brought him down in space. But on the very next play, Lutmer had the unenviable task of guarding Lemon down the field, one of the best wide receivers in college football. He brought it in for a big play, also scored the touchdown on the drive to make it 21-19. The Hawkeyes held on the 2-point conversion. Lemon on the day, 10 catches for $153 as USC went on scoring drives consecutively of 70, 82, and 40 yards on the day. Brian Jackson with a touchdown, his second of the day, made it 26-21 as USC took the lead for the first time. And one of those drives set up by a Mark interception. Basically not his fault, though. Rolling right, throws back against the grain. Not the best ball in the world, but still should not have been intercepted. But Marcellus Williams, USC's trash-talking cornerback, got in the way, broke up the football, made a great play in extending the arm, popped the ball up in the air, and intercepted by Jaheim Stewart. And that got USC rolling on that drive that eventually landed with the Jackson touchdown. USC led at 26-21. Now, let's not forget that USC was not the only team that had speed on the field. Caden Weechen is the best return man in college football, and Iowa has done a decent job in recent weeks of getting him more involved in the offense, and they did so on an end around in which Whedon sprinted for 25 yards. And then in the play of the day, what should have been the play of the day and the most spectacular play for the Hawkeyes that could have led to a victory in the final minute, turned out to be indicative of the Iowa season. It came that close. Got to check out the play if you didn't see it. Mark Gronowski and Caden Weechen hooked up on a 4th and 6 play. And Gronowski, I will give him all sorts of credit for this throw because I do not believe that consistently he is a good passer of the ball. But he delivered to Weechen on this play. Weechen guarded the football from the defender up against the sideline. He got twisted. He got hit in the air, and he brought down a toe. And I still don't know that it wasn't in bounds. I think sometimes we get a bit deceived by the shoe that's in the air being over the white. I believe that Weechen actually got a toe down in the green, in the grass, in bounds before the rest of his foot hit the white. It's an extremely close call, but the officials determined it, and they were decided in their determination. It didn't take long. They didn't review it for a lengthy period of time. They were decisive, and Iowa was turned away on that play that would have given the Hawkeyes 1st and goal, down 5, with about $1:45 left in the football game. Now, Iowa still had a chance if they could have stopped USC and forced a punt, but in the one mystery play of the day, with Iowa needing to stop to have any kind of chance to do anything, and that chance would have been minuscule considering their lack of a pass offense and the limited amount of time that they had. But my goodness, and no timeouts left. An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against the Iowa coaching staff. The Big Ten Network did not show us what happened. I went through it a couple times, went back to see what possibly occurred. I would love to see the explanation on this one, especially with the football game on the line. This has to be an egregious penalty for the officials to call and decide a football game and not give Iowa a chance to get the football back and drive it for the win. I just think that there's a time and place for penalties against conduct and behavior. Most of those penalties should be early in the game. The warnings and then the penalties and the follow-up should be early in the game for the officials to set a tone and set the standard for the way the game needs to be conducted by the players. And then if they're not receiving that message by the officials, certainly follow up and call the penalties when they are just and due. However, in this situation, I have no idea what went on the Iowa sideline to gain that kind of response for the officials to call a play, to call a penalty that I'm not going to say it decided the football game, but it did not give Iowa the opportunity to come back and win the game. USC wins 26-21. They're 8-2, and they are not out of the woods at all. They go to one of the more difficult places to play in all of college football at Autzen Stadium next week, and then the rivalry game against UCLA. For Iowa, looks like the Hawkeyes once again are staring at 8-4. If there's an 8-4 program in football, it is Iowa. They're 6-4 right now, but they will be heavy favorites against Michigan State at home. Then they've got a date against Nebraska. Your thoughts and comments down below concerning USC football and Iowa, of course, and the CFP. And if the Trojans match up at 10-2, they've got the head-to-head against Michigan, but they don't have the head-to-head. They've got the loss at Notre Dame if you size up USC against two of the other contenders for the CFP. Join us each and every night during the week, Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time for the College Football Show Late Night, and we'll see you then.